I'm sure that it's already there in the homeless community, but we just don't know it yet.
But I know he needs the routine and he needs the structure that I just can't give him.
That's the most blessings that I can ask for.
Who may not have the financial means to seek out veterinarian care for their pets.
California is home to the largest homeless population in the country. As COVID-19 cases are projected to spike, the Sacramento County Department of Public Health is finding solutions to a highly contagious environment.
I do think this pandemic has highlighted a crisis that has long existed in California and Sacramento when it comes to our unsheltered population and those experiencing homelessness.
Are you getting enough resources and enough help?
I haven't heard any of the resources yet.
I think when talking with those two people on the bench, the gentleman that we were speaking with, he just got out of the hospital because he was in a physical fight with someone and he was beat up pretty badly. So he didn't really know a lot about COVID-19. The woman sitting next to him, she didn't have a grasp of the severity of COVID-19.
How are things going?
Oh, good. Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't know. I don't really know why.
I didn't even know if she was really capable of fully grasping what was happening to keep herself safe. How do you not only inform these people, but inform them in a way that they can mentally digest and understand to protect themselves? And I don't think we really have all the answers for that. And that is a frustrating reality. In Sacramento County, specifically with COVID-19, there is an information gap. There are also cases of mental illness and addiction and accessibility issues. So the county and the city have really been working hand in hand. They created a homeless task force specifically for COVID-19.
It's focused specifically on individual homeless populations that have been exposed to the virus, that specifically are deemed high risk. That would be our seniors out in the streets and sidewalks, in encampments and in tents, and those that have tested positive for COVID-19.
They've invested $15 million in funding, so to kind of close that information gap, and also just the necessity to be able to have sanitation stations. How do these individuals stay at home when they don't have a home? Like realistic solutions for individuals that are really challenged with a pandemic that is highly contagious. So they're expanding our shelter population. They're adding more beds. They're adding FEMA trailers provided by the federal government, motel rooms as isolation quarters. When it comes to encampments, and that's usually along our rivers in Sacramento County, they actually want those individuals to stay in place and kind of mirror stay at home as much as possible.
But the encampments, porta potties that are coming in, additional porta potties, and the hand washing sinks and food coming to them as well.
It's a constant conversation. I mean, I know that these individuals, our county public health director has 12 meetings a day, and a lot of these meetings are focused on the unsheltered population.
Unsheltered homelessness was a crisis before COVID-19. It is a heightened crisis during this epidemic. And if we do our part now, it could be less of a crisis as we come out of this.
The silver lining, and I think what gives me a sliver of optimism or some optimism is that there are lots of lessons that can be learned from this pandemic when talking about those experiencing homelessness. And those lessons can be applied to addressing this really complicated, layered issue well after COVID-19.
No one knows when the coronavirus will be a nightmare of the past, when putting food on the table won't be this hard.
Block Ministry is an organization that does a lot of really good community work in the Price Hill area of Cincinnati, which is one of the urban neighborhoods. So they typically are doing a lot of events and programs for kids and for teenagers, which pretty much all got stalled when the coronavirus outbreak started, as they just try to figure out how they can help families get through this. And a lot of schools have stepped up. For example, Cincinnati Public Schools are offering different drop or pickup locations where you can go and get your family a box of food or get food for your kids. While in areas like Price Hill, there's a lot of people who don't have access to transportation, or who don't have cars to get to those pickup locations.
Canned ravioli, we put peanut butter and jelly, we put frozen pizzas, things like that that kids are going to eat and enjoy, but then we also try to put things that kids are going to be able to prepare themselves.
So Block Ministries is going out into these different communities, and they are just helping their neighbors. We thought it was a really cool idea, especially because we've seen so many of these kids that we know depend on the meals that they get at school. They depend on those snacks and those lunches.
I appreciate that so much because some of us don't have cars to get around.
And then they're just going out in the community and delivering them, dropping them off on front porches and offering some hope. So they're definitely still depending on their donations because the majority of the organization relies on those. However, they were telling us that they've had so many churches and individuals step up and offer to help. So they've had churches donate food and money to help them continue to make these programs a possibility and a reality.
That's the most blessings that I can ask for. Is my daughter safe and she's not hungry?
Another thing that's interesting about Block Ministries is that they are so embedded in the communities. So they live right in these same neighborhoods as the families that they're helping. So they have a really good pulse on the need and also who has the need and how to help each individual person and family.
Just for us to be able to smile is a blessing for me through this time.
Even in a time that seems so dark and so unpredictable, that you can still have hope and you can still share love and connect with one another.
I love when we can put these positive stories on television of the good that's happening in our communities and the ways that people are stepping up, because you never know who's watching it, who might have a great idea, and that's what inspires them to take that first step.
I'm terrified he's going to backtrack.
She said it's such a challenge to be home. She has a 4.5-year-old son who has autism, but she has a daughter, I believe, was like 6. And so she's trying to, do what she can with both of them.
My 4.5-year-old was diagnosed at the age of 2.5 with autism, and he's actually been going to school since he was 3.
She was petrified that school was going to be canceled for the rest of the year, which of course it has since. Not because the kids were driving her crazy, but because she was worried all of the gains that he had made, that he was going to lose.
I'm trying as hard as I can to keep a schedule going, like this is when we do school time. Okay, after school time, now we're going to watch this video, then we're going to do that. It's not the same.
They need routine, they need prediction, they need structure. And that's all out the window now with, school being canceled.
Every day I have him asking me, Mama, when can I go play with my friends? Mama, when's school? I miss my teachers. I'm like, buddy, I can't take you yet. And it kind of hurts because I'm enjoying this time, but I know he needs the routine and he needs the structure that I just can't give him. I'm afraid he's going to lose certain skills. I'm absolutely afraid he's going to lose certain things. My son has come out of his shell so much. I'm terrified he's going to backtrack.
But again, they're just trying to get by like the rest of us.
Up to a maximum of $2,500 for those impacted financially by COVID-19.
And what we may not be hearing a lot about is how this coronavirus pandemic is impacting pet owners and their pets. And the bottom line is that many pet owners at this time may be financially impacted by this pandemic, either because they've lost their job, they've been laid off, or for other reasons, and thus they're not able to care for their pets. Their priority is maybe their own personal health, paying for their own medication, putting food on the table, paying utility bills. Some of these pet owners going to veterinarians and they're doing economic euthanasias. They go to the veterinarian office and maybe their pet has been run over by a car or attacked by another dog and that the pet needs veterinarian care. Well, that pet owner who may be impacted financially because of the virus feels they can't afford the veterinarian care, so therefore they're putting their four-legged friend down because they have no means to pay for the bill. And it's situations like that just pull at your heartstrings, and that's where this particular group comes in. Max's Helping Paws to help pay for some of this veterinarian care.
People are panicked. They're making decisions based upon what they feel is going to happen. And so all we can do is present an option there that maybe gets in front of that.
They're surrendering their pets to, and that's what that means is that some of these pets are being surrendered to already overburdened shelters, animal shelters that are already impacted or that are already at capacity at max.
Which is incredibly heartbreaking. So we do our best to try to get in front of these situations.
It's nice to know that at this time of uncertainty, big unknowns, economic hardship, that there's a group out there that is concerned not only about a person's well-being, but also about the well-being of their pets, whether it be feeding them, providing veterinarian care. This group, Max's Helping Paws, with their special fund, Chestnuts Fund program, has come forward to help people, pet owners, pay for their veterinarian bills up to 75%, a maximum of $2,500, and really providing some relief, economic relief to pet owners who at this time have a lot of things on their plate. And this is a time when people really need their pets either for support, companionship, and this group makes sure they stay together.